we have our Amber and referrals launch. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think our last conversation we said that pushing product into the world is hard. And well, this last 2 weeks has proved it. It's technically difficult. You have to nail your problem solution fit, and you have to keep your team together, motivated to get it over the finish line. We've completed a whole cycle of this since we last spoke, and man, I also am ready for a little breather. But yeah, it's great.
Yes, we're all excited for breathers. But let's talk about what we just launched, right? We have Amber and referrals. What is our philosophical take on why we're doing this anyway?
Well, when you look at how people connect to opportunity in real life, in 3D, in non-digital space, people connect with opportunity through a connection by somebody saying, you might want to talk to this person who's trying to hire a designer. You're a good fit.
Warm intro.
Warm introduction. But why does that work? It works because somebody's vouching for you. Somebody is staking their reputation on you that you'll do a good job. That's why the customer trusts that there's somebody who is staking their reputation implicitly on you doing a good job. So the reason why I'm super excited about Amber today, which is our digital currency that rewards people who make referrals and who do work taken through Swarm, is that we share a part of our upside as a company back with those who make those connections happen.
As they deserve it, right? Like they're creating value.
They're creating value for themselves, for their friends by connecting others to opportunity, and through us. Mm-hmm. We're the kind of company philosophically that we're a community. Communities thrive when people share and open opportunities with each other. So philosophically, our business model rewards those who help each other, those who help us. And that's what Amber is. Not a feature. Amber is a statement of belief that those who help each other succeed deserve to be rewarded.
Those who help each other succeed deserve to be rewarded. What's been the usual approach to this? You know, like just taking our launch aside, like what's the usual approach to it?
Think about the most basic HR practice. How do companies recruit? Their top performing channel for finding talent, number one, best performing channel, always is employee referrals.
Why?
Well, because specifically that's what it's connected to what we just said earlier. When it's somebody who's referring a friend or somebody that they trust, that they want to work with, there's context on both ends. Somebody is staking their reputation to connect somebody who has a need and who has an offer. So in the real world, since the beginning of companies, since the beginning of recruiting as a practice, referrals have always been the best way to connect people with work. So when we think about what in a fractional world, when it's project-based or term-based work, why are people having to compete on platforms? You know, platforms, the act of competing, that's how company, you know, that's a very
zero-sum game.
It's a zero-sum game. It's a
race to the bottom.
High effort, low reward, and it is a race to the bottom. It's literally marketplaces that force people to compete, commodify. So it's just a horrible experience. We're bringing a very simple, real world, this is how the world always works. Enabling people who have a client or a project to refer somebody else or through someone else to a talent that can do the job. It's just how the real world works.
Okay, now that we're on the topic of referrals, and it's always been the preferred method and the highest performing way to secure high quality talent or employees or fractional workers, right? Like, how do you even get to the point of having referral, right? Because at some point you'll have to ask yourself, like, who are you connected with?
Yeah.
What's your level of relationship with this specific person? Or, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, in the fractional world, opportunities exist in isolated spaces. People essentially have small networks when they're out on their own. And working fractionally often means most people who work fractionally in the real world often have to do it alone.
It sucks.
It's lonely.
Yeah.
You can't get feedback. And you have to grind it out to find people to connect you with opportunities. So that's where technology can play like a massive role, which is we can interconnect. We are interconnecting these pockets of opportunity, pockets of relationships, pockets of trust across. The great thing about applying a platform to solve this referral problem is that we can do two things. We can graph relationships globally across geographies, across a number of different spaces, and allow folks who never would have met in the real world, based on interest, based on what they do, across time and space. We can connect people that never would have met each other, but who should have. It's number one, is we can graph relationships and create relationships that don't exist yet. The second thing that we do is we can turn those relationships and successful referrals and good work into data. So even in the world of AI, we will always be a relationship-driven product, relationship-driven platform. Real people are building relationships and vouching for other real people. We scale that and we make it more efficient by leveraging data, graphs, and AI to make that just much more efficient. We create a memory and can facilitate future matches, create future connections based on your footprint on our platform, based on the relationships and how you contributed on our platform.
I think the way you talked about it is sort of like how we envision the future of work. And considering our scenario now in the world where everything feels like you're interacting with a bot, the thing you read doesn't even, you don't even know if it's written by a human. It's even more important for a platform like Swarm to facilitate these human-to-human connections. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can't hold an algorithm accountable for connecting you with the wrong person. You can't hold a platform for connecting you with somebody who oversold their capabilities, right? The reason why this works in the real world is because when people stake their reputation, they're opting in to be held accountable for the referral, for the recommendation.
Talk about that sense of accountability for a sec here. Why is that so important?
Well, when somebody refers, think about the last time somebody made an introduction to you, whether like to their employer or to their potential client. Usually the first thing that they'll say is, "Hey, I have this opportunity for you." The second thing that they'll say is, "Don't mess this up because my name's on the line."
Yeah.
So when you have somebody who's lifting you up by creating opportunities for you, they will support you in doing a good job because their name is on the line.
It's a risk for them.
It's a risk for their reputation and whatever other opportunities. I think that there's this implicit behavior psychologically and socially to wanna, when you attach your name to something, you want to make sure that what you're attaching it to is going to enhance your reputation and certainly not detract from people's perception of you.
Yeah. I love this, and KP and I talked about this in our upcoming episode of Fractional, where we intentionally build our reputation, and KP gets a lot of requests every day, and he's like a top product hunter in 2022,
That's
right?
amazing.
And he has to go through a lot of these requests from people, and just for them to get hunted on product hunt, and there has from him, he says that there has to be some type of alignment between him and the project. He has to feel like he aligns with this. It's like
Yeah.
a win-win situation for both of you, right? Because his reputation's on the line,
That's right.
As a hunter.
Yeah. It's, like when a large part of what a founder does is build relationships, either to find fans, find investors, to raise money, to do business development,
Get partners, etc.
get partners, get people to talk about you. And I think being a second-time founder, having that reputation of having done this before, so people might have heard about my past work, might have heard about what the impact my past products or companies have done. It helps me meet new people, and
Yeah.
that enables me. It's like my street cred. So for when I make an introduction to a person, it's kind of like me investing a part of my reputation in them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and I think this is why community is important. When there are isolated pockets of relationships, like, a group of UX designers in Davao, somebody in the Valley is not going to know what Davao is. But certainly not what the companies are, what the schools are. But if somebody they know, like Alexis Collado, says Shanine is an amazing UX designer, it's not Shanine that they're judging.
You mean Shannon?
Oh, Shannon, sorry.
Yeah, it's my vouch for Shannon.
They're evaluating your vouch. You're investing your reputation into Shannon for her to get that work. So, in the initial phases, we ourselves and our top community members are scouting in our community and making recommendations to potential clients. We are investing our brand into the people that we're vouching for, hoping that they'll do a good job.
Like our social capital is always at risk, and we refer to that as our reputation, and it like goes up and down depending on the result of what happens in that project or contractual work with whoever you made the match make for, right?
That's correct. And if we make bad matches, if the members of our communities vouch the wrong people because they're self-interested, their reputations go down. Our reputation goes down. So in the course of building our community, we're all incentivized to support good people, and once they get the work, to support them in doing a good job.
Okay, how about this, Dexter? You're a second-time founder. You're gonna have a talk tonight at 55 Paseo, the proverbial kickstart
Yes.
house. How are you feeling about it?
Well, Kickstart's a phenomenal investor. It's like coming home. I had my first office in 55 Paseo when it was still a school, so we actually co-located for a long time. I'm excited to meet this generation of entrepreneurs coming up in Manila, in the Philippines, who are benchmarking to the global market, who want to build companies that can transcend geography. I just got a list of questions I'm supposed to talk about. Are entrepreneurs made or are they born? And I think the level of thinking and the questions of what they're asking for, how to scale a company, what are the metrics that you need to look out for, what are the pitfalls, building a team, going from early startup phase to growth phase. I'm starting to see the maturity that's being deepened in the founder ecosystem in the Philippines. And I
And
think
it's not been like that, right? But when you went here in like, I don't know, 2011 or like a decade ago or something, it was non-existent, or maybe like it's super small.
and it connects back to what I was saying earlier. The Philippines was high talent, but it was isolated, right? And what has happened in the last 10 years, particularly during the pandemic, this pocket of talent and of founders was exposed to foreign capital at rates that, it never had that kind of level of exposure to. Founders from abroad were partnering with local founders to launch companies. So that's the transition that the Philippines ecosystem is going through now. What's interesting is that in the 1500s, the Philippines was the center of the world. It's where East met
Galleon trade.
with the galleon trade. It's where, Eastern commerce met Western markets. It happened here. And I think we're coming back to that point in time because this is the entry point for Western capital, Western markets into Asia. We're big enough now as the Philippine market to sustain, to grow businesses, to grow companies with a large enough TAM to absorb foreign capital that can reach, 10 to 100x returns. It's a market that understands Western and Eastern culture. Singapore, I think, is emerging as the finance hub, but the Philippines is emerging as the market hub for being able to test out and enter into Asian markets. It's great. I think that I see more and more European founders coming here, trying to model out foreign business models in Eastern markets, and this is usually their first stop.
That's really exciting, and that's a lot of opportunities as well, I guess, for fractional workers here, because we have talent. These founders, these foreign investors, they need talent to build their portfolio of companies and make their investments work.
Yeah.
What can you say about that?
Well, actually, I think that, yes, the local talent is amazing now. I think that local talent now is exposed to, Valley companies, engineers, designers, product managers working for Australian companies, Valley-based companies, and European companies. I think that while we're kind of getting our start with our home turf in Southeast Asia, as Swarm, we are global first. And I think that because we're in the Philippines, it allows us to build a brand that can interconnect East and West. So, yeah, I think that when companies come here, they have access to local talent, but the world has access to pockets of talent in West Africa, South Asia, Southeast Asia, Latin America through Swarm.
Okay. I think that's it for our episode today. Do you have any final words of encouragement or anything you're feeling right now, Dexter?
Well, as for those of you who are founders, don't get discouraged. The last few days before a major launch is usually when you feel the most nervous. We just crossed that threshold. I've done this 1,000 times, and I still feel like in crisis mode whenever we make a feature relaunch, a major relaunch. So keep going. It'll be fine. And then for those of you who are members of Storm's community, really look forward to seeing how we can create opportunity for each other.
All right. That's it for Dex&Lex.
Okay.
See you all soon.